Welcome to our very first episode of the Insight Portal. My name is Oumalea M. On today's episode, we'll be speaking on Speak Your Truth. And as easy as that sounds, that's actually very hard to do. And I'm saying this from personal experience because, it's not always easy to say what you think and what you feel in certain spaces where your truth might not be accepted, right? So we live in a world that encourages us to conform, to settle, to fit in. So on today's episode, we're going to be unpacking what it really means to speak your truth and what it requires in order for you to be able to do that. Right, let's dive into it. So, you need to know and understand, number one, that we as human beings, we come from different segments in life. We come from different families, we come from different financial backgrounds, race, whatever the case may be. Even those that grew up in the same households, we still see life differently because we experience life differently. So it means ultimately that we are never going to see things the same way. Now, what do I mean by this? You might find that we're both South African, right? I'm Betty, you're Zulu, for instance. There's certain things like there's certain cultural norms that clash, right? And if we are ever to find ourselves in a position where we are looking at something from a cultural perspective, we're already positioned to clash. It's not that we as people within ourselves we disagree, but the conditioning of our childhood and hence the conditioning of our mind, which is our beliefs, already puts us in a situation where we have to clash, right? So when you understand life from that perspective and you're able to say, you know what, people are not always going to understand me, and that is okay. It does not necessarily mean they hate you. It does not necessarily mean, well, sometimes they might, but that's not always the case, right? It does not necessarily mean they hate you or they have a problem with you or they don't like you, whatever the case is, because we like to make things about ourselves, even if maybe the situation at that time is not about you, right? So you are going to learn, you're going to need to learn to speak your truth. Why is this important? Because if you do not speak your truth, the only person you are betraying is yourself. And at the end of the day, when you go home, when you lay on that bed, you are going to hate yourself so much because you did not speak what is in your heart. You did not defend yourself if you needed to defend yourself. You did not say what is it, you did not release what is it that you needed to release. Now, I'm not saying that you must always say what comes to your mind, even though perhaps it could be rude or whatever. Of course, we have to filter some of the things that we say and how we say them, right? But now, the gist of what you want to say, the root of what you want to say, it's very important that you take it out there, that you put it on the table. Because if you don't speak, nobody's going to know what you're thinking. I always say this to my child. She's only 6, by the way, but I always teach her that as much as I'm your mother, as much as we share DNA, as much as I love you and I understand you on many parts of life, I cannot read your mind. And this goes on for any other human being. I cannot read your mind. Nobody can read my mind. So it means if I don't tell you what is on my mind, you have no way of knowing. The only information that you have will be the one you make up from your own conclusions based on some of the things that you see from me. You see, so if you don't speak, we are not going to know what you're thinking. So there's going to be rooms that you will go into where your truth will not fit the dynamic of that space. Your truth is not going to fit the criteria of what is the norm for that space. But when the Lord sends you to a space, He does not make a mistake. When He sends you there, He sends you there not necessarily so you can fit in. You cannot break protocol while trying to fit in. You cannot change the atmosphere of a room you smell like or you sound like. That is why the Lord will send you to particular places so that you can speak. And I get that it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to be the one black sheep, or to be that one that you just don't sound like the people of that city. You just don't sound like the people of that place. You don't look like them. Your speech, and there's going to be people that are going to come and try to convince you that you need to change how you sound. You need to sort of fit in. You need to change certain things about yourself, because those things are not necessarily acceptable. They are unconventional, they are unprecedented, they are unusual, they are foreign to that land, they're foreign to that environment. But those are the things that set you apart. So you need to start speaking. Speak for yourself. Speak for the people that the Lord has required you to speak for. Say the things that have been in your spirit. Say the things that have been in your heart. There is a human way to say things, obviously. Obviously, you need to be empathetic in your speech. We are not saying be rude, but say it. Because if you don't, you will suffocate in silence. And when you dim your own light because you want to accommodate the needs of other people, what are you really saying to yourself? That their needs are more important than your own? Are you saying that they need to feel a certain way, be it they need to feel heard or respected? Do they need to feel heard more than you do? There are certain things that we do to ourselves that we don't realize that we are only anchoring that some of the traumas that we have. Where when you put other people first, you might look at it and think that perhaps you're being a good person, and maybe in some spaces that might be the case. But ultimately, what you're doing is, when you always put other people first, you're unconsciously telling yourself that you deserve to come last, because everyone else has to be considered. Everyone else's feelings have to be considered. What about your own? And the thing is, when you begin to put everybody else first and you ultimately put yourself last, even though that was not your plan, you become accustomed to coming last, to such a point that you no longer have a problem with it when other people put you last at all times as well, because that is the position that you have chosen for yourself, not with your words, but with your actions, with your energy. You have told the universe that, you know what, I don't have a problem with coming last. I don't have a problem if my needs are not met. I'm fine. I don't need anything. I don't need to be heard. Like, who am I for people to actually listen to what I have to say? So speak. I need you to speak. You need to speak. You need you to speak. One thing I've realized about old people, if you can check, people in their late, let's say 60s, 70s, 80s, those people say their mind. They say their mind, and they don't care about what things look like. They care more about the potency of what they have to say, what they provide. Why? Because they understand the importance of being truthful, of being authentic. We only live once. It is important to be authentic. If you cannot be authentic with the world, at least be authentic with yourself. So you need to speak. Put it out there. Put it out there. So that song that you wrote, that you're so scared to take it out there because you're already thinking about what other people on social media are going to say, that book that you wrote that is sitting in your drafts because you're so scared of what other people are going to say, release it. Release it. And as I'm speaking like this, I'm actually talking to myself because I do have my own book which is like 95% done. I should have taken it out there, and I'm taking my own advice as I say this. Release it. Why am I saying this? You don't know who is going to benefit from the work that you have done. There are people that need to hear from you. Life is like a line, right? We are so interconnected in such a way that what you do affects the next person, even though you don't know who that person is. But what you have to say affects the next person. There is somebody out there who needs to hear from you so that they too can start to believe that it is possible. Because your life is a testimony. There is somebody out there who needs to see, I can actually write a book because Oumalea wrote a book. I can actually do this thing because so and so did it. Last Sunday when I was in church, God gave me a word and I was disobedient. God asked me to give a testimony about my time when I was pregnant, right? And I did not see the relevance of it at the time because, well, my child is 6 years old. Why would I talk about my time during pregnancy? But now, after church, there was a pregnant woman who went to get prayed for, her own personal thing with the pastor, right? And as I was looking at her, it clicked in my spirit that what God had required me to do, it was going to be a seed of hope for whatever that woman is going through. And I was disobedient. Why? Because I used my own understanding and said, no, but my child is old. Why am I speaking about my pregnancy? God, when God gives you a word, when He requires you to speak, He knows why He's doing it. If you can check in the Bible, the story of Jairus' daughter and the woman with the issue of blood, the woman with the issue of blood started bleeding 12 years ago. Jairus' daughter is 12 years old. And if you can read that scripture, you'll see how the two stories are intertwined. Both the stories, like the woman with the issue of blood, her story became the seed of faith for Jairus to believe that his daughter will be healed. Why? Because when Jesus needed to perform that miracle on the little girl, it was not going to work without faith. Jairus had to have faith. So his faith came from seeing that woman being healed after so many years. When he saw that Jesus could heal this woman who has been bleeding for 12 years just by literally touching his garment, that ignited the faith that Jairus needed to believe that his daughter would be healed. So, with that being said, my testimony would have ignited the faith that that woman needed for whatever she's going through in her pregnancy. So I need you to speak. You need you to speak. Your destiny is relying on you to speak. If you are going to be quiet, guys, life is very short. Let me tell you, life is very short. Every single one of you has buried loved ones. your family members, high school mates, varsity. We even bearing children lately. Life has gotten, we've always known that life is short, but now it's like, oh, it's something else. So let this be a reminder that you need you to show up for you. Your destiny is relying on you to show up. No matter what the case is, do not allow yourself to stop yourself. If you've done something and you've pushed and you've done the work, do not allow this syndrome, the imposter syndrome, to make you think, okay, who are you? But who are you to do this? Who are you to have a great song? Who are you to have a great book, to have a bestseller? Who in your family has ever done this? Do not allow that voice to speak louder than your faith. For as long as you're done, take it out there. Take it out there, because in reality, all of us are just people that are trying to make something out of our lives. If I can tell you, there's many people at work, people that are holding high positions that if you knew that they know nothing, they learn on the job. There's people that are holding managerial positions that they learn on the job. I have had positions that I had to learn on the job. And other than that, I have seen a lot of people that learned on the job. There's ministers. So not everything is the way it seems on social media, because we live in a generation of social media where everything looks perfect. It's picture perfect. So we are so self-conscious, because when something doesn't feel perfect, we don't release it. We don't put it out there, because we are so afraid of scrutiny. And we are afraid of being scrutinized by the very people that don't have their own lives figured out. Nobody has this thing figured out. Release it. Let us hear what you have to say. The world is dying to hear from you. Somebody out there, their miracle is relying on you to release that word. There is somebody out there right now who is relying on me to release this word so that they can release theirs. It's a series. And another person is relying on them to so it means if I don't do my part, the person who's listening to this on the other end is not going to do their part. And the person who needs to hear their testimony will not do their part. So here I am. It's 1:23 a.m. as I speak. I couldn't sleep. So now I'm up recording this message, because you know what? It is time to be obedient. It is really time to be obedient. Now more than ever, it's time to be obedient, because your destiny requires you to speak. Your destiny requires you to show up. There's nobody that will show up for you hard as hard as you would for yourself. I hope you heard me. I really hope you did. And I want to tell you in advance that I'm so proud of you. I'm super proud of you that you're going to release that project. I'm super proud that that book is going to go on the shelves, that we're going to be dancing to that song. I'm really, really, really proud of you. So go ahead and speak. Write that book, release that song, preach that message. Because you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? I always say this, by the way, the worst thing that could happen to you is not the worst thing that could happen to you. Let me tell you why. For as long as you're still alive, the worst thing has not happened. For as long as you're still alive, the worst thing has not happened. Because if you're still alive, you still have a chance to make it right. You still have a chance to start something new, to start on a clean slate, to turn a new page. So what if you post it and then you don't get as much recognition as you thought? That's fine. What if you take it out there and people laugh? That's fine. We live and learn. And that's the only way that we can improve on whatever it is that we do. So go out there, be bold, be brilliant, be unstoppable. I'm your host, Oumalea. I'll see you next time.